So, today I want to discuss something that I think almost nobody is talking about. Everyone is focused on the war between America and Iran. Everyone is asking who is winning. Will America bomb Iran into submission? Will Iran close the Strait of Hormuz and destroy the global economy? Will ground troops be sent in? These are all important questions, and we have discussed them in our previous classes. But today, I want to ask a completely different question, and the question is this. While America and Iran are fighting each other, while they are bleeding each other, who is actually winning? Okay, now I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, Professor Zhang, China is not even in this war. How can China be winning a war it is not fighting? And that is exactly the right question. Because the most brilliant strategic move in geopolitics is not to fight at all. The most brilliant move is to let your enemies destroy each other while you quietly build your power. And that is exactly what China is doing right now. So let me walk you through this carefully. I want to show you first what China gains if America wins this war. Then I want to show you what China gains if Iran wins this war. And then I want to show you the deeper historical pattern at work here. Because this is not the first time in history that a rising power has watched two great forces exhaust each other and then walked in to collect the prize. Okay, so let us begin. First, I want you to understand something about how China thinks about strategy, because it is very different from how America thinks about strategy. America's strategy is what I call the hammer strategy. If there is a problem, you hit it hard, you hit it fast, you hit it with maximum force. This is why America always reaches for bombs first. This is why the military-industrial complex is so powerful in America, because Americans believe that the solution to every problem is more force. Or China's strategy is completely different. China's strategy comes from a book called The Art of War, written by Sun Tzu about 2,500 years ago. And the most important lesson of The Art of War is this: the greatest victory is to win without fighting. Let me say that again. The greatest victory is to win without fighting. You do not waste your energy, your soldiers, your money on direct confrontation. Instead, you position yourself correctly. You let the situation develop, and then when the moment is right, you move. And by that time, the outcome is already decided. This is Chinese strategic thinking, and right now, China is applying this strategy perfectly in the Iran war. Okay, so now let me show you how China wins in every possible scenario. Scenario 1, America wins this war. America bombs Iran successfully. The Iranian government collapses. America installs a new friendly government in Tehran. America controls Iran's oil. America controls the Strait of Hormuz. America has won. Okay, so in this scenario, does China lose? Let us think carefully. The answer is no. China does not lose. Here is why. Even if America wins in Iran, America will have spent an enormous amount of money to do it. We are talking about trillions of dollars. The Iraq War cost America $2 trillion, and America did not even win that war. An Iran war against a much larger, much stronger, much more prepared enemy will cost far more. America's national debt is already over $36 trillion. Its yearly deficit is enormous. It is borrowing money just to pay the interest on its existing debt. Every bomb America drops on Iran is a bomb paid for with borrowed money. And here is the key insight. Who is America borrowing this money from? Who holds American debt? China holds over $1 trillion in American Treasury bonds. Japan holds a similar amount. When America goes to war, it borrows more money, it prints more dollars, and the value of the dollar goes down over time. This means that China can see very clearly that the more America spends on war, the weaker the American financial system becomes. We already know that America's military-industrial complex is designed not to win wars, but to make money. The F-35 fighter jet cost $400 million each and took 26 years to develop. The Gerald Ford aircraft carrier cost $13 billion and had to retreat from the Persian Gulf in 3 weeks. The Patriot missile defense system cost billions, and cheap Iranian drones fly right past it. All of this money goes into private military contractors. It goes to Boeing, to Lockheed Martin, to Raytheon. And all of this drains the American treasury. And China is watching this very patiently. So scenario 1, America wins the war. China does not fight. China does not spend a single yuan. China does not lose a single soldier. but America is financially weaker, and a financially weaker America is a gift to China. Now, scenario 2, Iran wins this war. Or more precisely, America fails to achieve its objectives and is forced to retreat from the Middle East. In this scenario, what happens? This scenario is actually far better for China than scenario 1. And let me explain why. If America retreats from the Middle East, the entire architecture of American global power begins to crumble. And at the center of that architecture is something called the petrodollar system. I've talked about this before, but let me explain it again because it is so important. Since 1973, all oil in the world has been traded in US dollars. This was a deal between America and Saudi Arabia. The Saudis would only sell oil in dollars. In exchange, America would protect the Saudi regime. Because every country in the world needs oil, and oil can only be bought in dollars, every country must hold dollars. This creates permanent global demand for the US dollar. This is why America can print money and run huge deficits without destroying its currency. Without the petrodollar system, the US dollar loses its special status as the world reserve currency. And without that status, America cannot finance its military empire. Now, Iran has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of all the world's oil. About 75% of Japan's oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz. About 60% of China's oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz. South Korea, India, Pakistan, they all depend on the Strait of Hormuz. The entire Asian economy is tied to this tiny waterway. And Iran is now demonstrating to the entire world that it, not America, controls this waterway. Every day that Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, the credibility of the petrodollar system is damaged. Because the petrodollar system is based on a promise. America promises to keep the oil flowing. If America cannot keep the oil flowing, why should anyone trust the dollar? And this directly benefits China because China has been building an alternative to the petrodollar for years. It is called the petro-yuan. China has been negotiating with oil-producing countries to sell oil in Chinese yuan instead of US dollars. Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, they have all been discussing yuan-based oil trade. If the petrodollar collapses, if the world loses faith in America's ability to protect the oil supply, then countries will start moving to yuan-based trade. And that is an enormous shift of global financial power from America to China. So scenario 2, Iran wins, America retreats, the petrodollar weakens. This is a massive victory for China, again, without firing a single shot. Now, let me go even deeper because I want to show you that this is not just about the petrodollar. It is also about trade routes and about the future of the global economy. China has been building something called the Belt and Road Initiative for over a decade now. This is the most ambitious infrastructure project in human history. China has been building roads, railways, ports, and pipelines connecting China to Europe, to Africa, to the Middle East, and to Central Asia. China has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in this project, and at the center of this entire project is Iran. Iran is the geographical pivot of the Belt and Road Initiative. For China to connect to Europe by land, it has to go through Iran. For China to access the Persian Gulf and the Middle East by sea, it has to go through Iran. Iran is so important to China's Belt and Road that China signed a 25-year comprehensive strategic partnership with Iran in 2021. China agreed to invest $400 billion in Iran's economy over 25 years in exchange for guaranteed access to Iranian oil at discounted prices. So think about what this means. America is bombing Iran. America thinks it is hurting Iran, but every bomb America drops on Iran is also a bomb dropped on China's $400 billion investment. China has enormous economic interest in Iran, and China has enormous geopolitical interest in making sure that Iran survives this war and remains a functioning state that can serve as the anchor of the Belt and Road Initiative.